Hello everybody. Welcome to the Monday stream, where today we're going to do some studies. I wanted to do more scenery or landscape studies, just some environment fun, and I thought it would be cool to do them on the iPad, since I haven't done them in a while. Okay, hello sunny day, and hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. I've chosen this image, which should pop up now. Slowly, I'm getting technological. Slowly we will be able to see what I'm actually doing. Okay, so let me take this image for myself as well. I should have it downloaded here. And then we can get started with sketching. So in general, I'm not that good with landscape studies or landscape and scenery. That's why I want to get a little bit better at it. And I thought maybe you guys want to join me and yeah, paint together. Okay, so I'm gonna try and use the basic brushes as much as possible. And maybe it would have been smart to set up a bit of a palette for this, but I'm just gonna take the campfire that I have here. I think, yeah. I'm gonna start out with an orange. Just make my brush as big as I can, just so I have like an underlay. And this is good if it's a little bit all over the place, because I do want to keep it a little bit rough and textured. Now I see some sort of greens in the image as well, especially in the sky, so yellowish greens. So I'm just gonna select this one, go in a little bit. Later on I'm going to probably try and fix these values. Well, not values, the colors actually. But for now, this is fine. And let's go back to my picker. And I'm just gonna go a little bit. Hello, guten Tag, Mesadirani. Welcome to the stream. So this is one of those streams where you will see me fail quite nicely. It's just painting is not my forte, and that is exactly why we're doing this, so we get a bit better at it. Something that would have been smart that I'm going to do now is to sort of adjust my canvas, crop and resize according, because this is sort of a wide shot. I'm going to turn my canvas in more of a widescreen thingamajig as well. Something like this, I guess. And then I can take this image and just freeform, adjust it to my canvas. And then I say we're done, and then back. The image is tiny on your screen. Let me try and zoom in a little bit more. Let me adjust it for you guys. There, and then how is the focus? Come on, focus, come on. It's not really, yeah, I set it up before, I should have, yeah, come on, focus, come on. Let me see if I can figure video. Yes, technical stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go auto. There we go. And boom, focus is working all of a sudden. There we go. Took a while. So I hope now that the screen is bigger as well, and then it's not as tiny as it was before. Okay, let me bring back my image and just sketch. So this is one of the screen grab, if you don't recognize it, is one of my favorites. It's a Tom Cruise movie. I am a huge Tom Cruise fan. Well, not huge, but I do like Mr. Cruise quite a bit. It's one of those old 90s movie stars that whenever there's a movie out with Tom Cruise, I know that I will go out to see that movie, just because in general I haven't really seen anything with Tom Cruise that I did not like. So something like that. This is quite saturated, I feel, even though it isn't interesting. There's some yellows in here, I feel. So I'm just trying to bring in a lot of the color from the image as I can. No screen capture? Not sure what you mean, Konishki. No, it's not Death Stranding. I haven't played Death Stranding yet. Looks interesting, but then again, I'm not necessarily somebody who likes Konami. What's his face? Kojima. So much. He's a bit too Japanese for my style. So I have to ease myself into that game probably. And yeah, it's Edge of Tomorrow, of course, that I'm drawing here. Okay, I think I will just jump onto a new layer and try to block in some elements of the foreground. So I have this, we have this field, which is a little bit more yellow, I feel, but doesn't matter. Somewhere here. All right. In the meanwhile, feel free to ask questions, or if you want something explained, I don't mind stopping this for a second and jumping over into explaining something. Let me see. Okay, a bit darker, so I just could also jump back into this one. Yeah. Just give a hint of the detail that I have there. I could actually go even a little bit darker and more towards the red. So I'm trying to guess these colors. It's not easy to come up with the right combination. So this is why I'm also doing this, because in general I'm really not that good at guessing colors. So I hope doing more studies like this will help. And then here we also have a bit of green, but it's a very desaturated green. So I'm gonna come over all the way towards the desaturated area. But in the dark, let's see how that looks. Yeah, I feel like we could add a bit more of the blue. So I bring it a bit there. Yeah, and then the rest I can do by hand as well. Just make the brush a bit smaller and add in some of these areas. Oh, okay. So that could be, okay, I need to be a bit more in, you are right, it is more in the pink. Yeah, thank you. That's good, because now I can adjust that. Yeah. Yeah, that does look a bit better. Yeah, so the thing was, I was a little bit sideways from the screen and I didn't see it properly. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Ruducci. Usually I add a timestamp for myself for these things, just so I work a little bit faster. And I just noticed that I didn't do that just yet. I don't want to stress myself out, but it's also easy to fall in a trap and just keep on noodling and finding correct colors, and that can take forever. So I might try and force myself to finish within the next, where's the timer? Let's say 25 minutes, but I will probably go over that. But just to give myself a little bit of a sort of a time thing. And I feel like I could go quite a bit darker on this one as well. So what I'm going to do is adjustments and go to my curves for the layer. Make it a bit darker. And I feel like after I'm done with this, I can probably take away a little bit from the saturation. Just bring it down a bit. That's how it feels to me. All right. So I'm gonna take my pencil brush and bring in a little bit of edge and detail. Even though this might be a bit too early for this. No, I think I'll go with saying that this is a bit too early. I'm just gonna take some of these browns, bring them a bit here as well. Okay, now I have the urgency of I do want to speed up a bit. Can you go away? Thank you. And then I feel I can pick some of these lighter tones and bring some of them back towards the edge, and I can go even brighter. There we go. Rotucci is asking, when you starting, are you thinking of blocking shapes first, or what are you trying to focus on? Yeah, so I go step by step. So I blocked in the field that you can see, and I'm just trying to define that a little bit more before I move on to the next shape. Like usually I work on my computer, where I work a lot with lasso tool. So I do a whole bunch of selections with lasso tool and just paint into those. That's my normal study thing. But since I don't really do that many studies on the iPad, I am still trying to figure out a nice workflow for myself. Now I will move on to the next frame where we will have the two characters. And something else that is relatively hard for me is usually I draw lines. I'm really not good in thinking in silhouettes. So filling out, like I would just draw Tom Cruise, and I forgot the lady's name, but I would draw them out in outlines probably. Because I just find it quite, I don't know, I always am envious of people who are good at thinking in silhouettes and shapes and volumes instead of lines. That's also something. So I'm trying to sort of learn several things at once here, which maybe is not the best approach. Sometimes it's good to just concentrate on one thing. Okay, so this is the road. I imagine that's her like there. Something like that. And then this is Mr. Cruise's leg. So here you can also, it's a good point to think about how much detail do I want to bring into this? How much time am I willing to invest into this? Or how much time do you have for something like this? And what is interesting for me is I'm gonna have a hard time differentiating between their faces. Oh, I don't want to zoom in too much. between the value of the face and the value of the background here. So I'm gonna try and go for a pink for the face. But I will have to adjust this pink for sure. Okay. So this is definitely way too pink, so we need to bring down both saturation and brightness a bit on this one. And then Tom's face would be here. The eraser was a bit too big for my taste. Let's go back here, and then the hair was more, I guess, blonde brownish, something like this. Just darken it up a bit. It had, I feel like it has a bit more saturation, where at least light is not hitting it, because where the light is hitting it, it does get a bit brightened up. So I'll stick with this for now. And this is also just talking about failing. It's a very good sort of patience game, because whenever I paint anything, for the, I would say for the first not first, but for 80% of the time while I'm painting, it looks like something horrible. And only after a whole bunch of painting and drawing and feeling like this is going nowhere, it slowly starts coming together. But it's very, very slowly indeed. So whenever I decide that, oh, I want to paint something, I sort of mentally, I have to prepare myself that, okay, so if I paint for an hour, that means for 45, 50 minutes or more, or 55 minutes even, it's not going to look like anything that I want to draw. Good sci-fi movie with Emily Blunt, yeah, exactly. I do like this a lot. It's like Groundhog Day, as somebody said in the chat, but then sci-fi and Tom Cruise. Feel like I can do the whole face in this value, because they are technically in shadow. And then we can always come back with lighter values, which means that I can do her hair also quite a bit darker. Something like this. Is there any selective color in this app? How can we adjust color selectively? You can go to your color balance layers and well, not here. Let's see. Actually, you can do it per level, but then you will layer, but you will probably adjust everything on that layer. As I said, I'm not really a painter guy, so I don't know if you can do that. Like you can definitely adjust everything at all, so layer per once. And what you can do is you can also say you want to adjust the colors, and you say pencil, and then you like select an area that you want to change, like this face, and then you can say bring in the yellow. I think is it that's how it was supposed to work. I thought the brush was supposed to do that. Maybe let me try that again. Color balance, pencil. So I select this area. Yeah, and now there you go. So highlights, midtones. Let's go midtones, right? See, now that it's selected, you can adjust the sliders. That's the trick. So it's only the area that you select. It's sort of like a selection, I would say. Okay, let's go back to painting Mr. Krause. And I still have 15 minutes, if I look at the time correctly. So I should maybe pick up the pace a little bit. And I feel like there's some bluish in there, which is good. Which I did go with blue, so I'm proud of myself. Maybe I can make the brush a little bit bigger. And then she also has her backpack, and Tom Cruise has his backpack. And one arm is here, and the other arm is not really visible because there's a lot of junk in the way. But yeah, I'm trying to suggest just where some of these things might fall. So they have sort of... Actually, I'll draw it on a different layer, just to be safe. And I'm gonna pick this color, go a little bit towards the green and lighten it up. And they have these sort of... Actually, I could take off some of this saturation. This belt going around them there, and then she also has this here. Some of her parts, the mechanical parts, are this as well. So I'm really just suggesting things here. I'm not trying to go too much into detail. Are you just using default brushes in Procreate? Usually I do, yeah. Like this, I think this is like somewhat of a texture paint brush I got from a friend, but everything, the whole other setup was just, which is it? The medium hard brush that I was using. Can't stick around for long. Today we'll watch the video dito. Well, thank you for popping in at all. I'm really happy that you did that. Okay, so I like this little detail of orange here that they have. Oh, that's quite bright. Let me see if I can pick something that is going to be less bright. Yeah, sure. Still a bit too bright, but I will tone it down. I'm just picking a little bit there. There we go. And what I am going to do is also make my brush a bit smaller and just try and give an edge to the outline there. Give an edge to this as well. Check back and do her augmentation there. There's a bunch of things going on here that I can't really make out. Now the face is the most enjoyable part, said Robert Never, because I just find super faces are extremely not my thing. Let's go more red and more towards the dark. Her cheek is quite dark here. And her forehead. And my time is running out, so I have to keep on reminding myself that I shouldn't put too much time into it. She has a little bit of a Down syndrome, as I drew her here, so might be good if I fix that up. Definitely darker. I can go more towards the red here, I feel like, with the shadow, and also make it just a bit more saturated. Then her nose is over there. Something like this. Definitely does not look like a lady, so I'm very sorry to Miss Emily Blunt. What I could do and what I want to do is bringing a little bit of light. So I'm gonna pick the lightest area of my skin tone. I'm gonna skew it more a little bit to the yellow. Sorry about that. And bring it up a bit. Just because I feel most of the lighting is in this yellow area. And just paint in a little bit of the highlights here or there. I think that's enough as well. I'm gonna underline her cheekbones. Those are also darker. It looks like she has some schmutz there. So I wanna make sure that that schmutz comes through. The hair has a much darker area here. Okay, that's actually much more detail that I should give it. So I'm gonna quickly move on to Tom Cruise. Take away some of his jaw, it's too much. I'm gonna take some of the skin tone from Emily Blunt and apply it to him as well. A bit of the ears, maybe I can make the ears a bit bigger. And then the eye socket is in shadow. His nose is in shadow. And then just the cheek area in general. That's interesting. I never saw that as being painted out like that. Something that I do quite often is zoom in and focus on the details. And that's why I'm trying to also force myself to not zoom in, because then I will waste quite a bit less time with the details, which I already do anyways. Yeah, long forehead indeed. But that's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. That's another thing why I like doing these sort of live streams, because you guys also notice things that I don't necessarily notice immediately. So it's very good to quickly look back and fix things on the go if you get those things pointed out. Okay, I'm just gonna jump in onto a new layer just because I want to make sure that I have something here. So this wooden thing, everything is very much in the same color tone, which I would say is quite difficult. Oh, that's a bit wide there. Okay. So here it actually turns more into white greenish, I would say, which would be something like this. So okay, something that I can also do to check my values, at least I do this in Photoshop, I'm not sure if it works here, is I make a layer, I fill it with black, and then I put it on saturation. And now I can check how my values are. I need a bit more darks here, that's obvious. This is actually, I could bring the brightness down on that one, I would say. So there, and also I take away a bit from the saturation. Oh, cancel one layer. Yeah, it seems a bit dark, but I do think that we can bring this back in a minute. Oh, this is where the leg is. And we have some brown area here, which is part of this. Let's use a little bit of the output fill here. Okay. I'm gonna go darker and a little bit more to the orange. Make it more comfortable for my hand. And pick the value that's there. Try to fix this here. So, and looking at it, this one has a couple of really dark reddish spots. So I'm gonna do that as well. It's actually darker than this, so I'm gonna go even lower. And just paint those under a little bit like that. And I can take some of these areas, also put it a bit more towards the red. And this outer edge of this wood has some of that reddish in it. And I want to take actually this green, push it back up into the lighter area, and I'm going to bring some of that in here as well. At least that's what I feel like I see there. I hope that's correct. Girls have smaller chins, also you can try and make it pointier. See, I'll zoom in and I'll try and fix that because I know this is going to haunt me. Otherwise, just a little bit there, and then her cheekbone there. Yeah, and then I can bring a little bit of the... Okay, but this is what I said. Oh, it's okay for now. If we keep it zoomed out, I can live with that. Let's return here. Make sure that this is separated here. So this will be my more brownish wood that also goes this direction. Yeah. It's interesting. It's quite bright here. Something like that, I feel. What should I never do? MDJ, what does MDJ say I should never do? I'm curious now. There's many things that I'm doing that you should never do. Okay, so this will be sort of the underside of our plank here, and it almost looks like we have sort of a cut-in area here, just like this. Make my brush a bit bigger, fill this area in because this is in shadow, just like that. We have a little bit of ambient occlusion here. Make sure that the brush is small enough. Yeah, something like that. Some brighter areas here. Maybe I can take some of this original brightness and bring it in there as well. And then we have a couple of splocks there. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer and make the rest of the wood there. Oh yeah, zoom in. Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm trying not to do that. And usually I manage to. But it is hard. It is hard. I would say that the only excuse that I'm bringing up is that I'm more comfortable in doing studies and stuff like this on in Photoshop. And here I'm still a little bit struggling with finding the correct flow. Okay, let me lock it for now. And then I can go back with, I feel like this is, it's interesting, it's like such different colors. Like I bring in some of this brownish from our big piece of wood, but it just feels much more desaturated too. Like this brown is way too saturated. It is too dark now. And this feels correct. I feel like I could go even a bit darker. And even darker. There we go. Okay. So this one just has a couple of splotches. It's almost like dirt or decoloration. But I want to make sure that understood that there's a sort of a construction here. There we go. I think that works well. And we have quite, oh, I zoomed in, guys. We have quite a dark little spot here. And I'm gonna add a little bit of extra saturation there as well. And you can see where basically where the surface changes shape. So we have this edge right where the dark area starts. This is where the darkest spot is. I've noticed this quite often. That's where this changes is where we get this darker spot. And then make sure that I can actually make this a bit brighter because there are also these bright areas here. And just play a little bit with it. I never used Procreate. I've started to use Krita. Yeah, I totally feel you. I totally feel you. Well, I hope nobody from Adobe is listening, but coming out of Eastern Europe, Photoshop was normal to have for everybody because we were just pirating everything, and we all had Photoshop pirated on our computers. And I feel like the Adobe guys, like they were smart because they didn't go after people who were pirating their stuff because they just knew that most of these are kids or they are in countries where like American copyrights can't really do much anyways because it was post-communist country and we didn't really have the proper copyright laws like set up in other countries. But they knew that once you get hooked to it, and especially if you go into the commercial field with Photoshop, sooner or later you will need the actual package, and that's what happened when I finished university. I just needed Photoshop for my job, and what I did then is there was sort of like a deal. Oh, I don't like this. That looks weird, doesn't it? Yeah. What we're gonna do, we're gonna adjust this. Okay, with my story. So I found a package that said that you can get Photoshop with the photography sort of. Oh no, this one needs to stay. So you can get Photoshop for 10 euros together with Lighthouse, Light Source, whatever it's called, which I didn't care about. I didn't need that, but 10 euros per month for Photoshop and I could make money off of it. That did sound quite okay to me in the end. Okay. And that's why I got stuck with Photoshop. But in general, all other applications like Krita or GIMP or Sketchbook or whatever you're using are going to give you what you need because They are quite similar to each other. Still not fantastic, but better than before. I'm gonna lock this as well. Go a bit darker and desaturate it. It's further back, so I would say it definitely needs to be a bit more desaturated. This one is actually too bright. Something like that. Yeah, and by now I'm over the time that I allotted for myself. So maybe I want to think about bringing in also some of these grass leaves. Unlock. Something like this. There we go. Yeah, Romanian values. Hey, come on, man. We didn't have that shit. You needed to get Photoshop because you needed it for school or something. And then you just got it. But yeah, now, obviously, now I pay for everything. But it was the same thing with video games as well for the longest time. And then Steam started coming along, and then I started buying 1 or 2 games. And now, yeah, now I don't really get games unless they're on Steam or GOG. Okay, I'll stop there with that. Here in America, they can sneak into your computer and bust you. Yeah, they can probably do that in the Eastern Europes as well now. But I don't know if they do that. Okay. I must say, I don't know if the background music is loud enough, but I find it very chill to just paint along to this music. For me, it's just fun. I have Photoshop, but once I get Krita and GIMP, I learned I'm going to cancel it. Yeah. Hey, it's always whichever app works best for you. Like many people keep on asking me why I use Sketchbook so much. And most people also, I don't really see that many people using Sketchbook. But it just works for me. I really like it. This should be further away. I feel like I can go a bit darker there. Something like that. Yeah. I've been keeping this white here. Yeah, no. See there. Just so I have a sample of it, but I think it's time to take this away. Bring some of this darker in there as well. Oh, don't glide away. I hope I'm still in picture. There we go. So the bottom half, as per usual, should be a bit more in the dark. There's also, I see some scrolling up there. Something like that. And now I can bring some of the brighter areas back here. I'm gonna go more towards the yellow. That. I can make my brush a bit bigger. And let me see where else. Okay, so I'm just gonna merge these together now because merge down, and I can lock this layer and bring some of these darker areas that I'm going to desaturate a bit into this part of the wood as well, just like that. And here I feel like there's some nice golden yellows in here that would be cool to bring in there. So I'm just gonna go take this and just touch it a little bit. Don't want too much. I'm also gonna try and make this a bit darker. And so what will I do here? Okay. I love Sketchbook. It's what got me watching your YouTube. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Sketchbook. It's always good to hear that people appreciate Sketchbook. I mean, it obviously doesn't do as much as Photoshop, but I feel like what it does really well. Okay, then a new layer. Now for this, I think I do have some. I had a grass one somewhere. So the interesting thing with this Procreate is that you can bring in your sketchbook, or no, sorry, your Photoshop brushes, which don't really work that well, but it's worth a try. Yeah, this looks like proper poop. No, we're not gonna do that. I'm just gonna use my sketch brush and brush in some. I feel it's more towards the central green here. Keep it a bit desaturated, something like this. Maybe if I take this one. Okay, let me. Like, this is probably the least efficient way of doing this, but I'm just gonna do that now. Oh, and I totally missed that there's sort of like a boat or something there. So I'm just gonna brush in a couple of leaves here. I don't really care, but there is quite a bit of change in value in these, and I'm gonna bring that in a moment. First, I just wanna make sure that there's enough leaves and greenery here. Okay, so now I can just simply lock this, take my airbrush, which should be in painting, and go on a much darker value. Oh, we can make the airbrush bigger and just bring in some of this. And the same way I can go up into the higher values. Oh, that's a bit strong there. I feel that's a bit too strong maybe, but it works. What I can do as well is just take my sketch brush, definitely bring it down a bit. Let's calm this down and just, you can bring a couple of these lines back here as well. That might give a satisfying effect to it. Okay. I need to work a bit on the grass as well, I feel like. Painting. Where's that? Let's take this brush. Bring in a little bit of these dark areas. We can make the brush a bit smaller. And just try to suggest the sort of the texture and the feel of this field. A bit of darker. Okay, and I should have much more of this green, which is green enough. Let me see how far I can push it. Much more towards this direction. Oof, that was not what I want. Here, this one I can live with. This one I'm fine with, just a little bit. We can maybe even smudge it around a little bit. And then that will take the sharpness of it away. Okay. Back to the brush, make it a bit bigger, and just add a bit more of this. I want this here to have a bit of a teeth, because I feel like there's not enough bite here in this area. And here in the background as well. Actually, it's much darker below our little building here, and where they are standing, and I totally left out the thing. And yeah, I am 45 minutes in, so quickly let's do something in the background. Gonna take, let me see the spectra brush, what it can do. And we need some grays, which are like this. Wow, interesting brush. Not sure I'm a fan of it. But we'll stick with it for now. No, let's just do a normal, whatever I was using before, because this is just too fancy for my taste. And let's bring this more towards the cold blue greenish area. Yeah. Usually, Rev Guy, wow, I just butchered that. Usually I, for smoke, I, once again, Photoshop with a couple of smoke brushes. Goes relatively fast. But I guess I'm just gonna use my smudge brush a little bit. Which, what do I have selected? It's a bit too harsh. Let me try the... No, still too harsh. I want something a bit softer. And bring that one down as well. And I bring a little bit of the edge back into it. Oh, that's an eraser. And they have quite a lot of smoke here. And just make a new layer. And I'm gonna, because I feel like because of the smoke, there are some almost like clouds being created here that doesn't quite come through in my image at all. Let's bring some of those in there. Just color pick some of the values from the clouds. Finicky. Smooth it out. Usually I am a bit hesitant using the smudge brush. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I feel like this is not working for me. I'm gonna take this one away. The rest I'm fine with. Oh, the camera is too bright to see what you're doing. Yeah. Okay. Actually, you're totally right. Let me see if I can quickly adjust that. That's exposure, right? So if I bring that down a bit, Nothing really happens. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Yeah, so this is how it would look properly. Okay. I'm gonna leave it like this for a while, but then everything else is quite dark. So tell me what you think of this. We can work like this for a while as well. Anyways, I think I'm gonna stop with this one and move on to a different one. Name it this one. So I don't know if you guys can see, but it's sort of a winter scene. And now that my camera brightness is a bit low, hopefully this will make it a bit more visible. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna fill everything with sort of a blue so it's not so bright. Let me see. Eraser webcam. Configure video. Okay, it adjusted itself back to normal, I hope. Yeah, much better. Yeah, guys. Speak up, guys. I don't quite see what is happening, so you do have to help me a little bit while I set this up. Okay, this seems to be I think that's good for that. I'm gonna take a round brush and I'm gonna do the blue sky in the background, which is somewhere there in the middle. Okay, and then I'm gonna build on top of this. So once again, we have our mountain range here, which is sort of brownish, yellow brownish, something like this. Maybe a bit more dark, something like this. So yeah, it's I did a snow piece not so long ago and I did struggle with it. So I specifically picked these two because I know that I suck at these. And just in general, it's also good to see that people specialize in something. So right, so if you give me a couch, a desk, or something technical to draw, I will have zero problems with it. But as soon as I have to do something that is landscape and scenery, it will not go that well. Should I? No, I'm not going to lock it just now because this comes down to here. Like here, I will lock it here. So the right side mountain, and I will bring in the white now, which is not 100% white probably, but it should. Actually, it would be much smarter if I would be drawing on a clipping mask. And I go back here and I just take the white away. Just because later I will come back and probably do some shadows for the browner area, especially here. And it would be good to be able to just easily do it. So here we have this sort of shape that is suggested by the snow. Could use a bigger brush so I don't become too muddy there. And then the details I can do later. And then we have this sort of area here, and then we come into the snow. Everything here is snow. And then back to some detail work. And then there's a lot of little pieces here. Okay, and now I can do what I wanted. I come to this one and I'll bring it just a little bit lower. And then we had some darker area here. Maybe I can bring it even lower, less saturated. Yeah. And I saw some darker areas here as well. And then this is where the shadow area is. So this can be all like this. And it is not brown at all. If I look at the image, it's more in the blues. It's interesting how I think that there shouldn't be any more saturation left in it, and there's always still a little bit left. Okay, and then you come back here. And then also this white turns into a pale blue where the shadow hits it. Something like this. And actually not just blue, but also purple. Let me come a bit more here. So this is sort of the shadow. Like snow, I rarely do snow. I remember last time I did it as well. It's torture. Okay, I feel this is a better blue. So this is the dark area here. This could be softened a little bit if I go over with the white. Just a little. And then this also had a little bit of almost purples in it, so I'm gonna push it a bit in that direction and pick it off the canvas. And this had a lot of, actually if I have a splatter, I should have a splatter somewhere. Where did I have there? No, I wanted to do this here. It's a bit too uniform. Not the biggest fan of how that works, but for now it's gonna be just fine. I'll bring in a couple of these here as well. Jump. I'm gonna take this color and just paint it in here. This is our river. There we go. So I'm gonna lock this for now. Take this, no, or this one. I feel this one is better. You can tell I don't do snow exactly. Okay, so this comes here. And then we have this little island here in the center, which actually has a much more interesting shape that I should try and capture. Let me see. So it comes here, but here. Yeah, it's better. Then we have this little slope here, just like that. Let's bring some of these blues in here as well. And then just make sure to mush them in there. And I feel like here I can bring some of this down there. Okay, so let me take this. So just to show you what, I mean, I don't know why I don't do it here. It just seems a bit more cumbersome. I would do something like just select these areas, like the snow would come probably something like this. And then I would go on remove. Yeah, this is just faster in Photoshop, that's why I do it. So basically I just remove areas. I try to randomize it. It's not gonna be so nice, that's why I'm gonna edit on a differently. Clipping mask. And I'm gonna try this flick thing again. And then maybe try to smooth it out a bit. No, definitely not with a smudge, but I can go back to my brush and just bring in a couple of whiter areas. And I can also work sort of the other way, where I select this color and go back to the spray brush thing and try to work some of that color in. And then deselect it. It's not fantastic, but I can work with it. I can still bring more of this down here and make sure to soften up those super sharp edges a bit. Just play a little bit. And I feel like now I can come down here and bring a bit more of the blue into the darks. Technically I could just do that. So where I imagine that there's the cliffs are in shadows, I'll just bring in a little bit of the blue. Okay, brush can go big. All right. So this is gonna be a little bit more tricky. So we still have snow. Oh, that's on the other layer. Here, so we have snow here. Slightly bigger brush. I must say, even though I'm usually quite afraid of snow, I enjoy this more than the orange one with Mr. Tom Cruise. This just seems to come better. Everything comes a bit better together. At least I think it does. Where am I? Got to go here for the darker. I feel like I could take some of these darker tones and bring them in here as well, just to continue some of the shadows that are there. And also this is going to be darker. Hey, can you please help me by telling resources, such as I have seen on some videos, or place course contest events where I know and learn more about design? I don't know about design, but I would say try Drawbox. Like a lot of people from my Discord use that and they find it quite useful. Control Paint is a very old one and very good one. It's a little bit underrated. Both of them are good for learning all about drawing. If you want more industrial design stuff, I would say check out sketchaday.com. Spencer does a really great job. I would say those are the things that come to my mind as I think of this. There's obviously also a whole lot of other things, but these are the first things that come to mind. My teacher, who taught me industrial design, if you want to go down the route of industrial design, has books out, and he also has, I think, like universities can book him, so he comes and gives lectures. His name is Koos Eisen. I would look him up as well if I was you. How deep does this go? So yeah, those are the things that I would recommend you take a look at for sure. Oh, I was erasing. Great. Did not mean to erase. Is there a good place to take feedback for your sketches? Please tell other places to take feedback. Depending what sort of feedback you want, like it really changes. Okay, let me unlock this. I said unlock. ArtStation is good for feedback. I feel like if you ask people nicely. But the best things if you want feedback, if you join Discords. Like a lot of people have really good Discords, from Modern Day James to sketchaday.com to my Discord as well, where there's a lot of people who everybody's somewhat good at something, so everybody can give you a little bit of feedback in general. What's happening here? Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna merge this down now because I'm losing the oversight a bit. There we go. But yeah, so we have a feedback channel on my Discord as well. And sometimes, because it's more painting related questions, I really can't give that well feedback. But we have people who paint a lot more than me and have a much better understanding of values, color, lighting. So they can give you quite a bit of valuable feedback. Product design feedback, yeah, definitely go to sketchaday.com. Then they have a Discord. Check him out. He live streams quite often as well. And yeah, there's a product, an ID sketching sort of channel on our Discord as well, where whenever I have time, I will try and give feedback as well. Okay, I'm just trying to smooth this snow a little bit out here. And it's because so that's the one thing that I learned, is that if your brush is too small, it's very easy to have muddy colors in the end. And yet I still make the mistake quite often. Okay, we have some nice darks in there. I'm gonna take this one and just draw along here. This is where the house is. And this is this little area there. At 9:16 now, I want to be done at 9:30. So that's a good timer for me, I would say. I'm gonna merge down now because I want to work on both areas. And I'm gonna take some of this blue, bigger brush, and just paint in some of the areas here. I'm gonna go a little bit more impressionistic on this one now. Let's see where there are super dark areas. I'm gonna go even a bit darker with this now that we're closer to the camera. So here we have some stones and things. So do we here. And on this side as well. And only a little bit here. So then we have some outcrops here, but I don't have to go super dark with it. It's visible here as well. Okay. Let me see. Like, I'm thinking for the water, what would be the best? I'm just gonna do the selection. And maybe a little bit here as well, because I feel like we have a splotch there. And then just something with there. Okay. Let me see a brush that has a bit more bite to it. Let's try that one, and we're gonna brighten it up. just make the brush quite big so you don't see no transitions. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna lock the layer and go even brighter. Maybe make the brush a bit smaller. Yeah, that's way too, I don't want to go too bright. That's more than enough in the brightness. Okay. Now I can unlock this layer and I can start chipping away a little bit from this shape because it's a bit too smooth. So here and there, obviously there will be rocks. Okay, back to the layer below. And I'm gonna try to do some of the pebble work there. There's a lot, like here, I feel like it would be nice to have a good... Can I do something with splat here since I have this brush? Yeah, actually I like the textureness of it. Just gives us a little bit of bite without having to work too much for it. I like that. So always trying to, I don't want to say cheat, but especially if I set myself deadlines, it's good to have sort of a speeder upper thingamajig. Oh, it's not locked. Let me lock it. Yeah, I was trying again if see if it's the brightness is okay, but yeah. And merge it down. Back to my painting brushes. And I am going to take a sketching brush and just add this little bush here that we see. Fun enough. It wasn't dark enough, so I'm gonna do my lock and then paint over it a little bit trick. And we're going to move it as well just a little bit. And now I can also paint in the blue below it, and I can go a little bit darker just here around this area. Naturally, I see that we have a bunch of darker snow in this area. Ha! I totally missed the edge there. That looks weird now, so let's fix that up a bit. See, I have so here is one hut, and then we have another hut there, which I feel I'm drawing it a bit too small. There we go. There's another hut there. Okay, I'm gonna go on a different layer again and add some houses here. Oh, I'm sorry. This needs to be on top of everything. And here we can also add this little railing. That should be getting smaller if we keep perspective a little bit more in. Thinner, thank you. And because there's probably snow on it, you can probably see a little bit, not this strong, a little bit less strong. Zoom in to pick a color, zoom out again. Still too strong. Let's take this one. Okay, zoom out again. Yeah, I can work better. Yeah, this is, I think that's okay. Just barely visible. I think I should have a bit more snow there, so I'm just gonna merge all these down. Merge down and merge down. And just paint in a bit more snow here. Let's see. It's true that the snow seems to be tapering down a bit here, like this. And then I bring a little bit of this back here. Hello, Tarva. Sorry, people. I was a bit too much into my painting here, so I didn't notice that new people arrived. So if you just arrived, I'm doing studies today, landscape studies, and I did one earlier with Tom Cruise from Minority Report, but I did not like that one at all. It didn't come out that well. But this one, I feel this one is actually not half bad. And I do enjoy doing this quite a bit more. Let me put some of this over here. It was a bit too strong, so I took off a bit of the edge. Bring some of it in there. The purples in the snow, actually, I really enjoyed it. I think it works quite well. Oh, too bright, too bright. See that there. Oh, I didn't even notice that I didn't totally fill in the background with the blue. Something like that. How are we time-wise? 1 minute left. Well, I do think there's a lot more things that I could put in there. So what I'm gonna do is just spray a little bit of this. So there's a bit of mountain here. There's a small edge there. Just these small details. There's also more snow here that I can put in. There we go. And there's much more houses in here that I can't really see that well, but I can. There's that house, there's this one, and then we had sort of a house here. And then there's like some long houses here, and then there's like a version of a house here that is definitely more towards the gray than the brown, but something like that. And they have obviously a snowy roof, and these ones also have snowy roofs. And then we have a whole bunch of dark spots here that I didn't really go into, and dark spots here as well. Oh, there we go. I think for now I'm fine with this. I got much further than I thought I would with this one. I can't paint a landscape to save my life. Well, me neither. I always get overwhelmed by the amount of information and end up overworking one area and leaving everything else looking unfinished. Yeah, I sort of do that. I try not to pay too much attention to one area, so I try to move on, and everything is equally not detailed. Especially this area is still ugly, but I guess everything together sort of works. So yeah, this was this week's little sketch. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll do some more in the future. Let's see how things turn out, but this is good, and at least it forces me to do some studies as well, because I try to push myself, but when you guys are around, I feel more of an urge and a push to do these. So thank you very much. And yeah, with that, I guess I will bid you a good evening and see you. If I think Thursday we're gonna have another live stream. So see you Thursday if you would wish to join me that day as well. But yeah, thanks again for being here, guys, and see you next time. Bye-bye.